Hey guys, how's it going? So the patch notes for 15.1, the first patch after the Empire of the Skies DLC launch, has the patch notes at least have come out, and the patch itself is coming out on October the 19th at 3 p.m. Universal Coordinated Time +2. So whatever that is for your local time, there you go. That's when patch 15.1 comes out. So let's take a look at these patch notes, see what's coming, and talk a little bit about my thoughts on these. So they are releasing the wallpaper for the, the billboard for the DLC 11 community challenge. There was a challenge to build, I forgot, it was some obscene number of airships for the entire player base to do. We didn't quite meet the goal. I think we only got like halfway there or something. But they decided to go ahead and give us the wallpaper for it. And if you are curious what that wallpaper looks like, it is right here. So it is one of the concept art or concept, artworks that, one thing I do have to say is I do love the artwork that they do for the game. So lovely little image right there of an airship being constructed. It does come in multiple sizes if you want to check that out. In case you have, anything, I think it goes down to, let's see, what does it go down to? It goes down to 1600 by 1200. And then there's a 1920 by 1080, a 1920 by 1200, and then a 3840 by 2160 resolutions for that. So yeah, fun little image right there. All right, so on from there, general improvements. Added session transfer modifiers to ship info tips in shipyards and hangars. Now, exactly what they mean by session transfer modifiers, I honestly have no idea what the heck they're talking about there. I don't know what a session transfer modifier is. When I first read it, I thought it was talking about just the general tooltip, the differences between when you build a helium airship, it has the little helium icon, and you mouse over it, and it tells you that it has more hit points or something. When you build the Arctic gas version, it has the Arctic gas symbol, and you mouse over it, and it tells you all of that information. I'm assuming that's what these two things right here are talking about, but it's worded really, really awkwardly. But I'm assuming that that's what this right here means. But I obviously the loading speed modifier part is that's exactly what that is. But session transfer modifiers, that's a weird way of saying, the speed modifier and stuff on it, depending on what you build. So I'm 99.9% sure that that's all this is telling us, is that we are going to be able to see the differences between the helium and the Arctic gas versions before we build them, which is something that people were asking for during early access. So good to see that we are going to have access to that now. All right, so under balancing, here's where some of the fun stuff is happening. Drastically increased loading and unloading speed for mail. It now has its separate loading speed times compared to regular goods. Now, there is a bit of an addition to this, because I asked on the Discord specifically about this this change, right here. What this is going to be doing for us is mail specifically, so that's your regional and overseas mail being transported on airships, now gets loaded and unloaded 10 times as fast as it did before. So if you had the airship platform was typically 2 tons per minute. So if you had an airship with no loading speed modifiers on it and no loading speed modifiers on the airship platform, it would unload at 2 tons per minute, which is abysmally slow. So now it's going to be at about, 20 tons per minute. And obviously that should get modified with loading speed modifiers on the platform and on the airships itself, so that will go up even further. What those exact numbers we're going to be seeing, we don't know yet. Again, the 20 tons per minute is just based on what they told us, so hopefully that's about right. So we can start making some new calculations on how quickly we're going to be able to load and unload our mail. I'm still on the fence as if this is going to fix the problem with mail or not, with the bottlenecking. I have seen some people say, oh, I don't have problems bottlenecking. I'm like, okay, well, how many investors are you trying to supply? Oh, like 2,000. Okay, well, that's probably not the reason you don't have a problem with it. The problem with the mail comes when you get into the hundreds of thousands and millions of investors. We have a lot of bottlenecks, many bottlenecks, because of the ability to only have one airship platform. So there's a lot of bottlenecking. So hopefully this right here will help. Now, it does not affect regular goods. So if you have a bunch of airships that are transporting regular cargo, you know, things like, I don't know, gas or fur or whatever you're transporting on it on a regular trade route, if they are going to the airship platform, they are going to be using the rates that we have currently, or the speeds that we have currently. So you have to kind of try to make sure your airships are not going to the airship platform at as much as possible. Keep those airship platforms free and open for your mail only, and then we are going to see if this right here helps the situation. Now, they did tell us that they will be monitoring the change once it goes live to see if any additional changes need to be made later on to the system. There is one change that did not make it into this that I have had discussions with the development team about, and that is, it's called, what they refer to it as, sinking animations. That's the animation of your airship actually going from its height where it's, you know, traveling, its traveling height, when it sinks down to load and unload cargo at the airship platform or pier or whatever. Apparently, that sinking animation also is causing problems. And they were hoping to get a fix for it into 15.1. That has not happened, so that fix has been pushed down the line. So hopefully once they get syncing animations adjusted to be a bit faster, we will see an increase in the throughput of our goods going to the airship platform, and that should affect both mail and regular goods, so it will be an adjustment all around quality of life improvement. So they have nerfed both new defensive towers. That's the flame tower and the anti-armor gun. The flame tower has had its health decreased from 2070 to 1701. See what you did there. And the flame tower has had its influence cost increased from 9 to 15. Flame tower is still absurdly overpowered, though. So even though its health has been cheekily decreased to 1701 and it had its influence cost increased substantially, it's still extraordinarily overpowered, and I still think it needs some major nerfs to it in terms of damage. The same goes for the anti-armor gun. It's had its health decreased, the damage decreased, the range decreased, and the reload time increased. To me, it is still going to be pretty powerful, not nearly as powerful as the flame tower, but it is still going to be very, very powerful, and I still think it needs more of a nerf. They've also reduced armor pierce efficiency overall for all ship types. So, yeah, lots of nerfs and stuff, but I don't think they go far enough, so just in my opinion. Increase the satisfaction street range of the Arctic post office from 28 to 32 and the maximum range from 50 to 52 to make up for the restrictions caused by the additional mail system radius. Now, if you weren't aware of this problem, what it was the street range of the Arctic post office was smaller than the radius of the actual post office effect that they added onto it with Empire of the Skies. So the Arctic post office has been in the game since the passage, and it had a reasonable range on it. But once they put the actual post office effect on it to where it would generate mail, that range was larger than the range of the satisfaction range. So now these right here will line up. So you won't have to worry about having post offices not being able to overlap and not being able to have coverage for your technicians when they need post office for their basic needs. So this right here helps balance that out. Reduced frigate loading speed to 80%. Now that's a very interesting one right there. It's just an interesting one right there. I don't know why they decided to do that. I've been sitting here trying to figure out a reason why. I mean, But they did. They reduced the frigate loading speed to 80% instead of, the full 100%. I guess they are trying to they're trying to dissuade people from using frigates as trade ships, which, I mean, some people do, but I think it's silly. Don't ever do that. So I guess this is just a way to disincentivize that. Reduced loading speed of rapid airships. This is most likely done because of the changes to the loading speed for mail as it is. Most likely resulted in rapid airships like just magically having mail disappear instantly. So they had to balance the rapid airships to where there would at least be some amount of loading speed for them. And reduced money and influence cost as well as maintenance of the Hermes class to make it more competitive to rapid airships. So, good one right there. I believe the Hermes was the one, if I remember correctly, was the one that we said was absolutely no point in ever building it because it was absolutely identical to another, well, I forget which Manticore maybe? Maybe it was the Manticore and the Hermes were literally identical. They were identical. There was no reason not to ever build one or the other. It was kind of weird. Yeah, so this right here makes the Hermes at least be able to be built right here and have some competitiveness to it. Now, there are a number of bug fixes. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but a couple of them that I think are really good to point out. Upkeep cost differences between Arctic gas and helium variants of the Pegasus and Zephyr class. Apparently, those had some upkeeps that were incorrect with those, so those are being changed, so just be aware of that. Fixed an issue with the construction cost of the Arctic gas variant of the Boreas airship being inconsistently low. So Arctic gas variants of the Boreas airship were super cheap to build for some reason, but it was not consistent. It was randomly, they would be super cheap to build. It was a weird bug, so good to see that being fixed. This is a big one right. There are a couple of big ones right here that I think a lot of people are going to be happy about. Fixed an issue with some configured lifestyle needs, leading to higher consumption of regular needs. Yeah, I know for a fact that chocolate, and then there was a couple for the Abreros that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. If you enabled those needs for the different lifestyle needs for the different residential tiers, it increased the consumption of the other residences that had nothing to do with it on their basic needs. It was really, really dumb and annoying, and it really screwed up a lot of my carefully planned and laid out production chains and balancing I had, and so I'm very happy to see that fixed. Fixed an issue with the AI running into a progression issue. The AI could not advance past worker, which was kind of silly, so good to see that they have fixed that. And they have fixed the newspaper reporting that lifestyle needs are not being fulfilled. Those were not supposed to be in the newspaper. So good to see that they have fixed that, so we don't have to worry about our newspapers yelling at us for having lifestyle needs not fulfilled when we don't even have them enabled. And the last two that I kind of thought were some of the more important ones right here was fixed an issue with a speed bonus earned via investing influence not applying to cargo airships. That was something I pointed out during early access that I thought it was a bug because we had this same exact bug with the world-class world-class reefer when it was introduced with Docklands, that it also did not get the speed bonus from the trade category in the influence milestones, so they have now fixed that as well for the cargo airships, and fixed the exploit that allowed to apply multiple local department effects. This was one that was again discovered during early access, and good to see that they're having it fixed. So if you have decided to balance your economy around having local departments being exploited to no end with dozens and dozens of stacked effects on them, go ahead and rebalance your economy and stop being a scrub and cheating because it's about to be fixed. And that's about it for everything in the bug fixes that I saw as pretty important. So that's it for all of the patch notes. It's not the biggest patch notes, obviously, but it does cover several of the bigger issues that we have seen so far. And hopefully it will also clean up some of the mail system, but that is still to be determined. So with that, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you're excited for patch 15.1. I know I am ready to get back into playing the game. I kind of put it on the back burner until this patch came out because of some of the balancing issues and different things that I was not happy with. I am generally happy with the patch. It does bring about things that I was wanting to see. So we will just have to see how these balance changes affect the game overall come, Thursday. So with that, I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.